Hello everybody, I'm Cobblestone20 and today I've got something pretty cool to show you. So, I have made altars, magmatic altars in Minecraft. These should work anywhere in the world and I'll show you what they do in just a moment. So, notice what we've got on us. We've got diamond armor, we've got a nether brick slab, which is going to be our altar. We've got a golden ingot, which we're going to use to activate our altar. We've got a diamond sword. And we've got 4 iron that we're going to melt. And we've got a NetherStar. And I'll explain what that does in a moment. So, just coming out of my den of evil there. Let's put this altar down anywhere, maybe here. It doesn't really matter where you put it. So, now we should be able to throw this this golden ingot as a price we pay to wield the power of the magmatic altar. So here we are. It's been activated. We can tell because now we've got a little lava drip coming down here. So I'm going to take off my diamond armor because I'm about to make it into something even better. So we have our iron ingots. I'm just going to melt these iron ingots down into molten ingots. And I think I might actually need one more, so I'll just iron_ingot. I'll just give myself one, and then we'll throw that in as well, because I want to upgrade my sword too. So, we'll start with the helmet, throw the helmet in, and throw an ingot in, and we get a molten helmet, which has protection 10. And I'll just do the same with all the other stuff, molten chest plate, molten leggings, and finally, molten boots. Now we'll pop that armor on. And we'll drop in our sword and make a molten sword. Okay, so we've got full molten gear now. Now I'm about to show you what the NetherStar does. Just a moment, I'll give myself a pumpkin pie so that I can fill my stomach with food before... Well, basically, before we summon Death himself with this NetherStar. So, if I just let my last heart regen. First, I'll show you what the armor does. So, if I teleport 10 blocks above me, you'll see I don't actually take very much damage from anything. So, this is very strong armor. Pretty sure it's slightly better than diamond, but if it's not, then the armor we're about to get definitely will be. So, if I just throw this NetherStar in, we've got Death. And he's really strong, and he runs fast, and he will wreck us if we don't take him out as fast as we can. Oh, yes, we took him out. Okay. So, now we've defeated Death. We've got his armor and weapon. So, basically, this is even better than the previous gear we had. I'll just line it all up so you can see. So, this is the two sets compared. We've got the molten gear and Death's gear. So now I'm going to put on Death's armor. As you can see, when I put on the boots, I get a speed boost. The leggings, they give me, I think, what is it? Some kind of protection, I think. Oh no, the boots give me knockback resistance. So now if I /summon zombie, or the leggings rather. So the boots speed me up. The pants give me knockback resistance, and the chest plate, that gives me an entire extra bar of health that I can regenerate to. The head is just for looks, and this Reaper Scythe does more damage than a diamond sword. A diamond sword does, I think it's 7 or 8 damage. A molten sword does 9.75 damage, and the Reaper Scythe does 12 damage. So we can take this zombie out pretty easily. If I just give myself another pumpkin pie, or I can just feed on this rotten flesh, nom nom nom, delicious zombie meat. Now I'll just give myself regeneration at P, regeneration 10 for 1 second. Oh, whoops, got it wrong. 10 for 1 second. There we are. That should be good enough. Now I need another pumpkin pie because I forgot that it gave you hunger. So basically, let's summon death again, and we'll see how we go this time. Nether_star. So, oh, whoops. When I give it to myself, it gives me, it obviously, it drops the item at my position for a moment, and then it automatically makes me pick it up. So there we are, we got his set again. It's an indefinite loot drop. You will always get it every time you kill death. And now, I will show you the commands. Okay, get ready, because this is going to be a long one. So basically what we've got here is a series of set block clocks. That's all the bottom command blocks and the top command blocks. So here you can see all the bottom ones have the same command. It's set the block above to air. And then that last one covered by the tree also has it. And then the top ones all have the same command as well. They have set the block below to redstone. So there are redstone blocks in the middle of all these sort of sets of 6 blocks. It's 6, right? Yeah, it is. And this redstone block is constantly getting updated. So if we try and break it, it won't even work. It just repeatedly gets updated. So now I'm going to list the scoreboard objectives. So as you can see, there are actually quite a lot of them. So we've got isIron, isSword, isChestplate, isMoltenIron, isNetherStar, isBoots, isMoltenArmor, isPants, isGold, isHelmet. So basically we've got one for everything that's molten boots, no, we've got one for everything that's a molten item, like from the molten set. We've got one objective for each of the diamond armor and sword, for each of the diamond set items. And we've got one for everything that's iron, one for everything that's gold, one for everything that's a NetherStar, and we've got one for everything that's molten iron. Now I'm going to explain why. Okay, so my entire system works off executing commands through specific items. And the thing about that is, you can't run a command through everything that's of the type stone hoe or everything called reaper scythe, but you can execute a command through everything with a specific score on a scoreboard objective. And furthermore, you can give specific types of items specific scoreboard objective scores. So this side of the system is basically defining what item has what score, right? So this defines every item that's iron by saying /scoreboard players set everything, set its isIron score to 1, as long as it meets the criteria of that its item is an iron ingot. And obviously the only entity that has an item score is an iron ingot, so it won't, obviously you can't change a creeper's item to iron ingot because a creeper doesn't have an item. So this will only work on items, and it gives everything that's an iron ingot an isIron score of 1. This one does the same to a NetherStar, but it does it to isNetherStar. And basically, all of these command blocks do the exact same thing to all the different items that we're using. So I'm not actually going to show every command block. You'll find all the commands in the description, but you can probably guess what they're going to be like. And unless you're going to build the system exactly the same as I have, you're probably not going to use all of them anyway. Okay, so now let's move on to how the actual altar works, how you can do this and how the lava drips down and how it only works on this specific nether slab. It works anywhere, so I can just drop down another nether slab anywhere and it'll still be able to work, and I'll give myself some gold as well. So it'll work here, it'll work here, it'll work here, it'll work anywhere, as long as, it won't work on an upside down one, or rather a normal floor one. It'll only work on the ones where you've got a little tabletop sort of. And you can put these in your house, you can, put these anywhere, and the moment I break the blocks, all of the things die. All of the lava particle things. So now I'm just gonna, basically, the reason we can only craft these specific items, for example, the molten armor and swords, at the altars is because we've got a little guy called altar controller. So what we are repeatedly doing is we're repeatedly running at everything that has an isGold score of 1. We're checking the block below it, and if that block is stone slabs 14, which is nether brick slab upside down, or on the top rather, then we're summoning a silverfish who is silent, and whose name is altar controller, who is invincible, who has no AI, and whoops, I've written silent again, and his effects are 14, level 1, duration 1,000,000. That means the game forgets that it even is running. Ambient 1, that means you won't get the little potion particles. So now, what I'm just going to do is I'm actually going to delete the active effects part. I'm copying it, and now I've deleted it. So now let's set up another altar and see what happens, or an altar rather. So we just throw this on. You can see we've got a little silverfish here, and he's called altar controller, and he can't move, and he doesn't make noise, and he just hangs out there doing just about nothing, or so we think. So now that we've got altar controller there, how does the lightning summon? Well, basically in a very similar way. We're running the same command where it detects if there's a stone slab 14. We're actually summoning a lightning bolt at that position. Now the lightning bolt will destroy the gold because obviously lightning destroys items. So like we don't even have to define that the gold must die at a specific time or whatever. Literally the lightning does that for us, which is pretty convenient. So now I'm just going to put the invisibility part back in. So we've got summoning lightning bolts and making the altar controller. Now, when I break the slab, I'm just going to start a new one because I want to keep this visible one. So you can tell from the lava particles, the moment I break this, the silverfish actually dies. How does that work? Well, that operates off this command block that says kill altar controller. So basically we're running at everything called altar controller. We're checking if below it is air, and if it is, then we're killing everything called altar controller, which is in a radius of 0. So pretty much it's just killing itself, really. Unless, you know, you drop like, unless there's a creeper called altar controller, but that's not going to happen. So now that we've got, I hate the rain. I hate it so bad. I hate you, rain. You're the worst. So now that we've got setting up an altar defined, what makes you actually craft the items? That is all this stuff here. So here we have, I'm going to start with actually changing the iron to molten iron. So, yeah, this is turning the iron molten. So basically what we're doing here with turn iron into molten, we're running at everything called an altar controller. We're changing the entity data of everything whose score of isIron is 1 and in a radius of 1. So basically we're just changing the entity data of any iron which is within 1 block of the altar controller or the silverfish. We're changing its item to, we're changing the ID to nether brick. We're changing the count to 1, which it should already be anyway, and we're giving it ench. Basically, that's how you would normally give a weapon or item enchantments when you summon it or give it to yourself. But in this case, I've actually just left it blank, and that gives the beautiful shimmering effect of the iron ingots. So if we just drop an iron ingot, of the molten ingots even. So I just drop this and wow. So I just drop this, and where's it all going? Oh, there it is. So you can see it shimmers as though it were enchanted, and that's because it is enchanted, but with no enchantments on it. Pretty much is what's going on here. So, and we're changing its display name to molten ingot. And as you may know, anything that's got an enchantment on it actually has blue letters, and that's why all these special items that have enchantments on them have blue letters. And that includes the Molten Ingot. I just thought it was a nice touch that made things look more fancy and less, generic nether brick style and more special. Then I'm going to move on to turning the sword into a molten sword. So we're running at everything called Alter Controller. We're executing at everything whose isIron score is a minimum of 1 in a radius of 1. We're changing the data of everything that's a sword. So basically we're running at everything, we're running at the Alter Controller, and imagine this command block is channeling a command straight into the Alter Controller, and then it's happening there. But then the Alter Controller is channeling that command into the Molten Iron, and then the Molten Iron is changing the entity data of a sword. Basically, that's just checking so that a sword can't be turned into molten if there's no iron there. And then we're changing the sword. We're changing it to an item with the ID of Iron Sword. We're changing the count to 1, which it should already be anyway. We're changing the tag to have Ench. I mentioned that before. The ID is 16. The level is 3. So what's that? Sharpness, probably. And then 19, level 3. That's knockback. And then we've got 20, which is fire aspect. And we're changing the name of the sword to Molten Sword. And that's how we change iron into molten iron, and that's how we change our sword into a molten sword. And then we need to kill the molten iron, otherwise you've just got a mystically appearing molten sword and still you keep the molten iron, so they're both sitting there. That's not going to happen. So what we're doing is we're running at everything called Alter Controller. We're changing everything's we're running at everything that's molten armor score is 1. I'm actually giving the sword a molten armor score 1 as well, because there's no real difference between what the sword needs and what the armor needs. So we're killing everything that's molten iron in a radius of 1, and that's how we actually delete the molten iron, and that actually runs working for all this armor as well. I'm going to show you one piece of armor because you don't really need to see all the rest, because it is effectively all the same. I'll put the commands in the description as I always do though. So we're executing at everything called Alter Controller, and then from there we're executing at everything that's molten iron, and we're changing the entity data of everything that's a chest plate, and then we're changing the item ID to leather chest plate. We're changing it to 1, which it should already be. We're changing the tag to ID 0, which is protection. Or we're changing the enchantment to ID 0, which is protection, level 10. And display, we're changing its display. Now this is something cool. Color 1271398 That's the color for the specific kind of red that I wanted. We're not even defining that it's just been dyed. It's actually a special kind of red. I'll show you in a moment when we're done with this command. And it's called Molten Chestplate. And, yeah, this isn't a normal kind of red armor dye, is it? So if I just spawn in a chest plate, a normal chest plate, and I dye it red normally, and then I grab myself a crafting table, and then I plonk that down. As you can see, it's not even slightly the same color. Even if we enchanted it, it wouldn't be the same color, because this is a sort of a more harsh red, a more strong red, a slightly more pink red, but that's probably because of the enchantment. So that is what the color tag does, and it's actually really cool. And we're basically doing that for all the armor, so I won't explain the rest of the armor. Again, I'll put it in the description though. And now we move on to summoning. No, first we'll do the particles. Then I'll end with summoning death. So the lava particles, we're running at everything called Alter Controller. We're running particles of drip lava, 1 block above, in a radius of 0.3, 0.3, and 0.3. 0.3 on the X, 0.3 on the Y, and 0.3 on the Z, with no speed, and 3 of them at once. And this is actually just running off a basic hopper clock where we've got a comparator, which is just switching on and off based on whether there's an item in the hopper. And And that's how the particles work. Now, I think I'll actually do something slightly different, because this command, this summon death himself command, is just stupidly long. And I'm going to do the outro and then I'm going to read it, so that anyone who doesn't want to be bored out of their entire brains and slaughtered with boredom doesn't have to hear me, and anyone who doesn't want to have that happen to them doesn't have to hear me say the command. So this is just killing the NetherStar. We're executing at everything called an alt controller. We're killing everything with a score of NetherStar that's 1 in a radius of 1. So thank you guys for watching. I've been Cobblestone20. You've been great. If you like the video, then like the video maybe. If you want to see more, then perhaps subscribe. And I'll see you next time, unless you want to see the death command. Now I'll explain the death command. Brace yourselves, everybody. Okay. Okay, oh man, this is going to be stupid. Executing at everything called alter controller. And then we're executing at everything with a NetherStar score of 1 in a radius of 1. We're summoning a skeleton whose heal F is 20. That's how much health he spawns with. Whose name is Death. Whose name is visible. His equipment is he's holding a stone hoe, one of them. The tag is that attribute modifiers are generic.attack damage it becomes 12. So that just means the hoe does 12 damage. And then this stuff you just need to include. I don't know why. It's part of the whole thing. Enchantment, ID 34, level 0. That's just so that it shimmers. In fact, I probably don't need to have any kind of enchantment there. Then, its display name is Reaper Scythe. Lore, it was Death's Blade, and now it's yours. Unbreakable 1, so it cannot break. So that's what he's holding. Now, he's wearing on his foot slot leather boots, one of them. Hide flags, 7, that's just to hide, like, the attribute modifiers and stuff. Now they change your generic movement speed to 0.1, which is actually faster. You'd be surprised. And then the rest of this stuff, again, you have to include. And then enchantment, ID 0, which is protection level 20. So we've got protection level 20 on it. Color 0, if you remember, for the Molten Armor, it was like color 1, 2, 7, 5 or something. This is like color 0. This is black, midnight black. The name is Death's Boots. Lore, the feat of inevitability, never stop. I reckon I might change that to cannot be stopped. And it's unbreakable, and that's what he's wearing on his foot slot. Then on his leg slot, he's wearing leather leggings, one of them. Hide flag 7, again. Attribute modifiers, attribute name generic.knockback resistance, and generic.knockback resistance, the amount is 1, so he will pretty much be resistant to knockback. And then all of this stuff, which you, again, need to include. And then enchantment, it's got 0 level 20. That's, again, protection level 20. It's just... What have I done? Control Z. Uh-oh. Okay, hang on. I'll just zoom back to that place. Death's leggings, Death's robe, where is it? Here. Death's leggings, back to Death leggings. Midnight black and fear-inducing. And then he's wearing a leather chest plate, one of them. The tag is hide flags, again, to hide the stuff, like protection and the attribute modifiers and stuff. It's changing your max health, generic.max health, to 20, operation 0. Then you have to add in all of this stuff. Enchantment, ID 0, level 20, again, that's protection. Its display is color 0, that's midnight black. Its name is Death's Robe, and its lore is, if fear were wearable, this would be it, and it is unbreakable. Then, on his head slot, he's wearing a skull, just one of them. A tag is enchantment, and then there's nothing in it. Display, name, Death's head. Lore is the head of the Grim Reaper himself. And then we've got his drop chances. Basically, this bit is necessary to define that he will always drop his gear. And, yeah. That's just a heap of complex numbers that you need to add in. And that is the massive, amazing, super huge command. I'll put it in the description. It'll be stupidly massive, and yeah, so if you've watched this far, then good job, and that was very brave. And to you I say, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!